In this lesson, we'll be practicing a few problems on predictions and comparisons with ratios and rates. These are the requirements for the TEKS 6.4b. Megan and Desmond each added the same amount of water to their aquariums. The same amount of water is in the aquarium. Okay. Megan mixed 5 milliliters of a chemical solution with every gallon of water in her aquarium. So Megan was mixing chemicals with her water. She put 5 milliliters in every gallon, or each gallon, every 1 gallon. Desmond mixed 8 milliliters of the chemical solution with every 2 gallons. So Desmond had 8 milliliters mixed in with every 2 gallons. Which of these statements is true? Megan used more solution per gallon of water than Desmond because 5-to-1 is greater than 8-to-2. Well, in fairness, for us to do a comparison, we need to simplify Desmond's ratio because 8 milliliters to 2 gallons can be simplified by dividing by 2, which means we would have 4 milliliters for each gallon. Now we could do an easier comparison. Who put more chemical in each gallon? It looks like Megan did. Megan used more solution per gallon than Desmond because 5-to-1 is greater than 8-to-2. Since 8-to-2 simplifies to 4-to-1. 5-to-1 is greater than 4-to-1. That's true. So A looks like a pretty good answer choice. But before we just choose A, let's make sure we can eliminate B, C, and D. Megan used more solution than Desmond because 5 milliliters is greater than 2 milliliters. Well, at no point in this problem has anyone talked about 2 milliliters of anything. So that's a distractor. That's wrong. Desmond used more solution per gallon of water than Megan because 8 milliliters is greater than 5. While it is true that 8 is greater than 5, Desmond's 8 milliliters were in 2 gallons of water, not 1. When we simplified his ratio, we found it was 4-to-1, which is actually less than 5-to-1. Finally, Desmond used more solution per gallon of water than Megan because 8-to-2 is greater than 5-to-1. When we simplified 8-to-2, we found that it's the equivalent of 4-to-1, which is actually less than 5-to-1, not greater than. So the answer is clearly A. In Austin, Texas, 8 bats ate 40 grams of insects one night. At this rate, how many grams of insects could 64 bats eat in one night? So if we're trying to make a prediction, we're going to use a ratio between the bats and the insects, right? The bats and the insects. 8 bats ate 40 grams of insects. So if I had 64 bats, how many grams of insects would those 64 bats eat? Well, I can use a proportion solving strategy here. I can go from 8 to 64 by multiplying by 8. I'm having 8 times as many bats. Instead of 8, I've got 8 times as many, 64. So then I'm also going to have 8 times the amount of insects. And 40 times 8 is 320. 64 bats would eat 320 grams of insects. Now all we need to do is take our 320 and correctly place it in the griddable, completing the circles 3, 2, and 0. Should I choose to put zeros after the decimal, and I don't have to, but if I do, I should fill in those bubbles as well. Barry is driving to Burns Flat, Oklahoma. According to his map scale, 1 inch on the map represents 50 miles. Which strategy can Barry use to determine the number of miles he must travel to get to Burns Flat? Well, if 1 inch is 50 miles, what would 2 inches be? Another 50? And what about 3 inches? Would it be another 50? And 4 inches? Another 50? That looks like it would make sense. So let's see what might be happening in order to prove this to be true. In a ratio table, each inch is 50 miles. Now you might remember words like each and per normally suggest multiplying, but let's check to see what works here. Answer choice A. Measure the number of inches to Burns Flat and then subtract 50. So if I had 1 inch and subtracted 50 from 1, would that make sense? I don't think so. Not choice A. Choice B. Measure the number of inches and then divide by 50. So if I had 2 inches and I divided by 50, wouldn't I get a very small decimal in response? Clearly not dividing by 50. C. Measure the number of inches to Burns Flat and then add 50. While in our table it looks like we're adding 50 miles each and every time, we're not adding the 50 to the number of inches. Each time the inches increase, the miles increase as well. Measure the number of inches and then add 50 wouldn't work, because then 1 would be 51 and 2 would be 52 and 3 would be 53, and that's not working. It's not C. Measure the number of inches to Burns Flat and then multiply by 50. Well, that looks like that would work. 1 times 50 would be 50, 2 times 50 would be 100, 3 times 50 would be 150, and so on. So multiplying times 50 appears to be working and would help us to determine the distance to Burns Flat. Answer choice D. If the ratio of girls to boys on the track team is 5 to 6, which of these shows possible numbers of girls to boys on the track team? So we're comparing girls and boys. If the ratio is 5 to 6, 5 girls to 6 boys. So what if I had another 5 girls? Would I have another 6 boys? And another 5 girls? Another 6 boys? Certainly seems like that would be true. And so every time I add 5 girls, I'm going to add 6 boys. Now I'm going to stop here for a moment just to see what kind of progress we're making. See if our table might help us to choose an answer choice. So answer choice A says when I have 24 girls, I'll have 20 boys. Well, if the girls are increasing by 5, multiples of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and so on, am I ever going to have 24 girls? No. Plus, look at the girls. Each and every time, the number of girls is less than the number of boys. So would 24 girls have fewer boys? No, I would need to have more boys. So it's clearly not A. B, 50 girls and 56 boys. Well, if I multiplied the 25 girls in my table by 2, that would give me 50 girls. That's good. And then if I multiplied the boys also by 2, that would give me 60 boys, not 56. So 50 girls and 56 boys doesn't work either. 60 girls and 50 boys. Well, again, if I multiplied my 20 girls times 3 to get 60, I'd have to multiply my 24 boys by 3, and that would give me 72. And that's not what matches with answer choice C. Answer choice D, 20 girls and 24 boys. And look at that. That's a perfect match in our table. Answer choice D. Aiden asked a group of students to choose their favorite type of music from the choices of rock, hip-hop, and country. Rock, hip-hop, and country. The results of the survey are shown in the graph. Well, we can see the y-axis of the graph is the number of students. How many students voted for rock? Looks like 20. How many voted for hip-hop? Looks like 40. And how many voted for country? Looks like 30. 20 to rock, 40 to hip-hop, 30 to country. Based on the graph, how many students in a class of 360 students would be expected to choose hip-hop or rock as their favorite type of music? Well, first, the entire class would be 360 students. And the number who would choose hip-hop or rock is what we'd have to find out. Hip-hop or rock. Well, how many voted for hip-hop or rock in the original survey? Rock was 20, hip-hop was 40. And how large was that group of students? Well, I'd have to add these together. All the votes originally add up to 90 students. 20 rock, 40 hip-hop, 30 country means that 90 people voted. So the original class size was 90, not 360. And of those 90, 20 voted for rock and 40 for hip-hop, so that's a total of 60. So the question now is, how many students in a larger class of 360 students would be expected to vote for hip-hop or rock? And now this is just a proportion solving strategy you need to use. I can go from 90 to 360 by multiplying by 4. And I should be able to do the same thing from 60 to my unknown by also multiplying by 4. 60 times 4 is 240. The number of students expected to choose hip-hop or rock as their favorite type of music in a class of 360 students would be 240, which is answer choice A.